Steve, if you see something I need to do here, please feel free to guide me.
Anybody there?
Yep, we're here. It'll just be another minute or two.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Junior, are we ready to go?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We're going to call this administrative review meeting to order. The date is September 1st, 2021. And we have 2 items on the agenda. We'll start with the first one. UBH 063021, final approval of the Highlands at Wolf Creek Phase 4, First Amendment. And Mr. Burton, you're going to be presenting?
Yes,
Okay.
Rick, this is a 1-lot subdivision. It actually is an existing lot in a subdivision. The owner would like to change the access point. Currently, it is off of a cul-de-sac called Zermatt Street, and they're proposing to change that to be off of Elk Ridge Trail. I'll show you my screen here. You can see there will be a no access line placed on the cul-de-sac here, and then they will be able to access from Elk Ridge. All reviewers have approved this, so engineering, surveying, and fire. This is kind of that final step. Then they'll get a Mylar in. What's nice about this one is we don't need to worry about water and sewer or any kind of improvements. On my review comment, I did make the comment just so the owners are aware that Wolf Creek Water is not allowing any more building permits this year, so they'll have to work that out with Wolf Creek Water, but just as kind of a courtesy, let them know that if they didn't already know that. So,
Okay, that's good.
and I'm recommending approval of this subdivision with no conditions, just based on all review agency requirements and the findings of the staff report.
Okay. Well, this is an administrative item. Don't need to take public comment, but I do want to get some comments from the applicant, Mr. Bertoldi, or is he on?
Yeah, Ray here. If you
Yes,
have,
I'm here. Here I can even put on a happy face.
Do you have any comments, Ray?
Just the only thing I would say is the reasoning for this is that if you take a look at this site, it is very steep coming off of Zermatt. By the time you get your building front setback in, you're already dropping 15 to 20 feet. You really can't get a driveway in without doing significant retaining walls and or cantilevering something out there. And the whole reason or part of the reasoning for this is whatever you put there is going to be a significant amount of disruption of the natural terrain and the hillside. Not only that, and view quarters looking back up. So we visited with the Wolf Creek, the Highlands HOA and ARC, their Architectural Review Committee, to talk about this, to show how this would not, impose anything more severe on the site in terms of setting. In fact, the way that this would work is the house would sit more into the hillside down lower, leaving a more open skyline from below looking up, with quite a bit less excavation of existing vegetation and terrain. So that was the whole reasoning behind doing all this.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments you'd like to make?
Not, I think that's sums it up.
Okay, all right, thank you. Well, I don't see any issues with this. It's meeting all the ordinance requirements. So I'm going to recommend approval of this, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report and findings. And this item stands approved on September 1st. Okay, moving on to the next item. UVFO32621, final approval of the Falcon Crest Subdivision First Amendment. And Mr. Burton, you're going to be presenting this again?
Yes,
Okay.
this is a one lot subdivision located at 8951 East, 1800 South in Huntsville. You're familiar with this area, kind of south of Huntsville. There are quite a few what we call minor terminal streets. Technically this accesses off of Falcon Way, which is a minor terminal street. Our ordinance talks about no more than 14 lots being accessed by minor terminal street. This specific minor terminal street currently accesses 13 lots. This is one of the 13 lots that accesses it. This lot was previously common area, and the owners are deciding to plat it and sell it, I believe, for road improvements. The reason it was a common area, it wasn't actually required by ordinance to be a common area. The original developer wanted to have that as an amenity, like horse property.
Okay.
So because it wasn't an ordinance requirement, if the developer can meet the subdivision and zoning requirements, it can be platted. Let me show you the plat here. We're talking about 10 and a half acre lot that has several hundred feet of lot width along two separate streets. So it's not actually creating any new lots, it's just giving this common area a different designation. The owner has submitted a traffic study, and I'll bring up the traffic study here real quick. The traffic study indicates that there's actually going to be less trips, where previously people might be putting their horses on this lot and taking their horses and bringing them several different people from different lots. This traffic study indicates that the average trips from calling it a residential lot will actually decrease, which I think is beneficial. At least to this minor terminal street. So they've submitted that, although it's not necessarily a requirement of the ordinance. It is nice to see that. The reviews, sorry, I didn't mean to press chat. Let's see. The review comments, our engineers and fire have approved it. At this point, they're working through a few minor red lines with the surveyor's office. that will just be taken care of before the plat can be recorded.
Okay.
As far as water and sewer goes, or sorry, water and septic, let's see here. Their Falcon Crest Water Company already has the rights and the connections for this lot. So we're not concerned there. It checks the box of the ordinance. And that is for both secondary and culinary
No,
water.
okay.
And there will be
Surprise.
there will be a septic system on this lot, and we've received a feasibility letter from the health department for that. This subdivision was submitted initially and accepted in March. So before we started requiring any kind of well covenant for landscaping, but where this water company is established, it typically would be up to the water company to regulate how much secondary water is being used. So with all of that being said, the recommendation is for approval of this subdivision based on the review agency requirements and the findings that are in the staff report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burton.
Yes.
Is Kirk Dulaney or representative of Kirk Dulaney's? Is he on?
Mr. Brown, I think you can go ahead and unmute yourself and maybe explain your relationship with the owner.
I got it. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, my name is Michael Brown, and I'm the president of the Falcon Crest Homeowners Association, as well as the Falcon Crest Water Company. And the only comment I have is, first of all, it's been very pleasurable working with your department. Everyone's been very professional, but the way I've always perceived this was merely a change in use. This was always a designated parcel that was going to be the riding arena and barn. And that was sort of the marketing that was used by the developer. This was going to be an equestrian subdivision, and the developer never followed through. And as a result, we want to now use this to sell it for residential lot purposes so we can use the money to put back into our private road system, which is substandard and has been from day one.
I appreciate that. While we don't take public comments, I do appreciate that comment. Thank you. That is a bit of a concern, but that's a private issue between the owners and the developer. Our ordinance that we have to enforce, does it have anything that would say we need to, or required to include any of that information?
As far as what was supposed to be
Yeah.
common area, no, it doesn't. Where it was an amendee that was not required by the county. The county would not force that common area to be a common area
Okay.
as it was originally planned.
And we still do have some minor common area as depicted on the amended plat, as well as we've got a common area on the water tank area, which sits at the very top of the subdivision and is gravity fed.
Okay. Thank you, that was Mr. Brown again?
Yes, Michael Brown, sir.
Okay, for minute purposes. Okay. Doesn't look like there's a representative from Mr. Dulaney on.
Sorry.
Well, no, Mr. Dulaney was the former president of both the Falcon Crest HOA and the water company, and he recently sold his home several months ago and no longer resides at Falcon Crest.
The HOA, I guess technically, it is the applicant.
The
And
HOA
then, yeah, and
is.
then currently Mr. Brown represents the HOA.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yes. And by the way, we've been working with Reeves and Associates to assist us with the project.
Okay, I appreciate that clarification.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay,
Yeah, the Falcon Crest is really the, I don't know how it got into Kirk's name, but it should have
Okay.
been the Falcon Crest Homeowners Association.
okay, thank you. Okay. I'm gonna close public comment at this time and bring it back for deliberation. These easements, Steve, are they all staying in place? Were they on there before? When it was common area, or these, like this 30-foot drainage easement, is this being added now?
Well, sir, I mean, I could answer some of that. I know the drainage easements.
Mr. Brown, I have to have comments coming from certain people at certain times for minute purposes.
Okay, I apologize.
If Mr. Burton can't answer, I will call upon you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, let me show you which ones were there previously.
Okay, no worries.
There were quite a few easements that were on the original
Oh, yeah.
subdivision plat. And my understanding is the same easements are staying there. Now there does appear to be a 30-foot drainage easement.
That's being added.
Well, and I think it might not be there, it might not be shown on here because of the stable corrals and
Oh,
training.
okay.
There's the label there. But I can even look at the recorder's plat to see what it shows there.
Okay, while you're pulling that up, Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Would you mind, so that 30-foot easement that's being added on the plat, what is that purpose for?
Okay, my understanding is that those are all pre-existing easements, and the only easement that we added was the easement that runs along 1800 South Street as it relates to what we call the dumpster recycling. We have an area that we use for the subdivision for disposal of garbage and recycling. And that's the only easement that was created that wasn't pre-existing.
So in addition to that, Rick, I'm looking at the engineering comments,
Okay.
and they did ask for this new drainage easement.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's why that's being shown.
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, well, based upon what's been presented, I'm going to recommend approval of the Falcon Crest subdivision First Amendment, subject to all applicable review agency requirements and the findings outlined in the staff report. And this item stands approved as of September 1st, 2021. All right, well, I appreciate everyone's
Thank you.
comments, attendance, and this meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, June.
You're welcome.
Right. Connectivity.